The Wellness Show, episode 101. And by the way, watch right to the end. We have a special offer for everyone.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. Welcome to The Wellness Show, and we have Karen Lorre on a return visit with us to start the new year. This is the 101st episode, the first one in the new year for 2017. I have to say it's been a challenge to get this show up and running. Technologically, it's been a bit of a disaster. That's why you get to see Karen, lovely Karen, but you don't get to see me. But that's just the way that it is. So moving ahead into 2017, I don't know about you, but a lot has been happening. I know we're in the midst of a retrograde, Mercury retrograde. At least my computers think that it's Mercury retrograde because they don't want to work. But lots is happening. It's the turn of the ages, the 26,500 year cycle. We've just completing and starting the turnaround into the light. We're going into year one. So, lots are happening. New president of the United States of America. But really what I want to talk about Karen is, how can she be so happy in the midst of all of this supposed chaos? Karen, how do you do this?
Okay, Tyson. First, thank you so much. And thanks. It's so fun to be here, and Happy New Year to everybody, and Happy New Year to you. And I appreciate your perseverance with all the challenges that you've been having with the computer and everything. So first, I wanted to say, if you don't mind, when you were saying Mercury is in retrograde, this might be a little controversial, but I believe that all the planets are in love with all of us all the time, and that there is no time that a planet can have a negative effect on us unless we believe that a planet has a negative effect on us. I believe that the reason so many people have hard times during Mercury being in retrograde is because so many people believe that there will be hard times in Mercury and in retrograde. So once you recognize that everything in the physical is infused with divine love, that there is no planet that is not pure love, and there's no trajectory of any planet that is not in the trajectory of pure love, then it doesn't matter what position the planet is in. Maybe you see it and it's more beautiful on that night, but it's not affecting us in a negative way because all the planets are beaming pure love out to us all the time. And once I understood that, then all the planetary issues that I used to allow to move me around in my life, they just stopped existing. And my life became my choice about how I feel, and not something outside of me like a planet or a star.
I totally agree with you. I've never really paid any attention to Mercury retrograde. It's like somebody telling me that don't have perfect eyesight, or you don't look well. I don't want any of those beliefs very much. I'm having, I have enough difficulty with my own belief systems. I don't need anybody else's. But I must say, for some reason, maybe my computers are listening to the fact that there's Mercury retrograde. I know I'm just fooling around, but for some reason, they haven't wanted to work. So, some people would say, well, that's Mercury retrograde. But I do agree with you. The planets, the universe, the cosmos, source, God, whatever, is divine love. And there's nothing other than that. And anything other than our mind eye or what we picture or outpicture is purely a fabrication of our own disbelief of the truth that it is. So having known that and knowing that you know that, we'll go back to the original question is, how do you stay so sunny, cheery? How do you do what you do? How do you stay in bliss?
I start off my day with the intention of being happy. And then I I used to do practices to get me into that happiness, but I just now don't have to do anything. It's just, we're growing new neurons in our brain every single day. So we have neurogenesis. It's the birth of new neurons. And so I have, in the birthing of many new neurons over many, 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 many days, weeks and months and years, I've been practicing being in bliss to such a degree that now my brain is working in coherence with that. So it's really effortless for me. But I make my happiness a priority. So I will make sure that I'm doing things that are in alignment with that happiness. And when I was first starting out, I did practices that would amplify my happiness more and more. And I still have practices that I do, but they're not, I don't have to do them to be happy. I just do them because they're fun. And so that's kind of how I found it. And I've also really gotten an understanding of my extreme autonomy, my knowing that I am the president of my thoughts.
All right.
I am the
I need to
president.
interrupt just for a sec because that's a lot of information. And if there's anybody like me listening to this call, then my head's swimming. Okay, so I want to back up a bit and go over this. Now, I get that there's new neural pathways that you're literally producing in your brain, and that we have neuroplasticity, and we can create our brain to be any new configuration in any way we want. So the old idea that we were we were born with a brain with X amount of neurons, and that was it, and we lose them over time, as we age, is completely false. So I get that. And you are creating new neural pathways. So how did you get how did you have your first inkling of the bliss experience? Was it an aha experience? Did you, how did it come about so that you could identify that's the space, that's the consciousness that you wanted to dwell in 24/7, 365?
There was a period of my life where things were not working. And one day I was thinking about my whole life, and I was thinking about the times that things really were working for me versus the times that they weren't. And I realized that in all the times that were working for me, I was also doing things that were really fun. I was playing a lot. I was with friends a lot. I was doing the things that I love to do. And because I love to do that, then other good things would happen. And I saw that when I was doing the things that were fun for me, when I was playing and having fun and doing all that, I had abundant energy. I felt physically good. Money would come to me. Opportunities would come to me. I was successful at everything I did. And I saw that the opposite was true, that when I didn't, when I wasn't focused on things I was having fun with, when I wasn't in a state of appreciation, that I would get physically ill. My body is so responsive to my thoughts, and it would just really get physically ill if I wasn't doing things that I like to do. It would get exhausted and full of pain, and if I wasn't focusing in a way that felt good. So I literally saw it like one day so clearly, and I made an immediate understanding. Oh my God, I only want to do things that feel good. I only want to think things that feel good. I see the difference. It was such an extreme in my life. I had both so clearly going that it was just so obvious that I want to make this a priority.
All right. So at that point you had a foot in the old world and a foot in the new world, and you knew what you didn't want, and you knew what you did, you didn't want. And therefore you wanted to cross the Rubicon and never have to turn back. So for the next step, did you then start to do some exercises? Like, did you create, what did you do to get back into the bliss and the normal day-to-day, because you're going to was still in the old program? So how did you catch yourself in the moment to get back into the bliss and into the flow?
The first thing I did is I recognized the power of obsession. Obsession is a vehicle, and most people use obsession in a negative way. I'm obsessed with whatever, alcohol or drugs or sugar or a person or something like that. And that obsession can hurt you. But if you use the vehicle of obsession, because I realized it wasn't Obsession itself was a constant focus. It's not exactly a negative thing unless you have it focused in a negative way. So I took the obsession that I had at that point, which was in a negative way, and I said, I'm going to drive that vehicle in a different direction. And so I just used that already natural pattern that my brain had at that time to repeat things over and over again. But then I gave it things to repeat that were things I wanted to start believing or start focusing on. So I would repeat things that I was thankful for over and over and over again. And I would repeat, things that felt good, desires I had that when I was acting upon them, even if I hadn't achieved the full desire, but when I was just doing something in the direction of that desire, that I would feel good. So I just started to repeat things, and it was literally just, repetition, practice.
So could you give us an example, of one of the ones in that crossover between the foot in either world that you needed to concentrate on and choose the happiness and that bliss path, and sort of how you did it?
Yes. So, for example, I was in a lot of physical pain at that point, and I started to just focus on things I was thankful for. So I would write out my thankfulness every single morning, lists of things that I appreciated. And I would write it out and write it out and write it out. And then I would notice throughout my day, and sometimes I'd write that list of appreciation for a couple of hours just because it felt so good and I was getting higher and higher and higher. And I noticed that as I did that, my body would feel better. I would feel more energized, and I would feel more pleasure in my body. And then as I was going through my day, if I recognized that I was starting to have a dip in my delight, I would start to again gently focus on something that I appreciate. And if I just let the dip go, I would fall asleep. I had narcolepsy at that point. And so the narcolepsy was like my coach. It was inspiring me to keep focusing in a positive way. So I literally would just start to focus on things I appreciate, or I had a couple things that I wanted to believe, things like I am loved, and God loves me, kind of thing, those things. So I would just practice those and just repeat those over and over again. There's a word in Hindi, I believe, or Sanskrit, and it's called japa. And japa is a practice of repeating a sacred name or a sacred phrase. And I would often repeat the sacred phrase, thank you, thank you, thank you, like on every step. So I would go for a walk and I would think, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And as I did, my heart would be expanding, and I would see, beautiful things on the walk, and I didn't have to say it anymore because I was in a state of awe and wonder at how extraordinary this world is.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, then the whole aspect of gratitude is really one of the key aspects, the driving, motivating energy that helps you turn the corner. So if that's correct, as you were, starting to lose it, so to speak, then would you then just go into gratitude and keep doing that until the feeling actually came to you of the gratitude, which would start to have that show up in your life? Am I getting this right? Am I understanding how you did it?
Yes, pretty much. And I tend to focus more on appreciation and thankfulness, just because when I was in gratitude, I was often bringing in the thing that I had overcome into this moment. Like, oh, I'm thankful that I lived through such and such. Well, then I'm bringing in the danger or the risk of what might have happened. So I focus on appreciation, which to me just feels cleaner.
Yeah.
It just feels like, there's no story to it. It's just, I appreciate this thing. So for me, there was two different ways. If I had been focused for a little while before I caught myself, so I had some negative momentum going, then I would let myself take a nap. And what I found is that the source within me would, when I was in that kind of almost drugged, I've been focusing in a negative way, I'm going to take a nap. I would be so tired that I couldn't resist hearing or feeling the way the source within me would talk to me or communicate with me. And it felt like it was saying, yes, take a nap. You're okay. You're doing everything right. All is well. Just relax. You're going to feel better when you get a little rest. And when you wake up, you can focus in a more positive way. And it was so gentle. And it started to train me to be gentle with myself and with everyone. And then I would take the nap, and then I would wake up and I would feel refreshed, and I would be inspired to go and start writing out things I appreciate, again, to get myself firmly on that track of feeling good. So it was a constant. And then if it was just happening, like if I just had a moment where I had a negative thought, then I could just laugh it off and then start focusing with a little more intention on things that kept me feeling good. So it was paying attention to how far down the negative road I had gone. That was what determined what I would do with it. And sometimes I would do things like, oh, I'm starting to get tired, so I'm going to go for a physical walk because that will get me moving. Or I'm going to go have a trampoline, so I'll go jump on my trampoline, or I'll go do my ski machine, or I'll go do some other kind of physical exercise. That can also do it. And also, like if you understand physiology, if someone has some adrenaline going, so they've got something that they're in either fight or flight, that adrenaline takes about 20 minutes to go through the body. So I understand, I was pre-med and I just have a great understanding of the body in a lot of ways. So if I had some sort of fear or anger happening, I would do something physical that would address the fight or the flight. I had a wiffle bat and I would hit pillows or my couch, and I had and then I would run sometimes too. There's a big hill and I could run up the hill near where I was living at that point. And so the whole I would do it for at least 20 minutes, and that would take that adrenaline, instead of having it run through my body and cause me anxiety, it would be expressed in a way that it was actually designed to be expressed. You're supposed to do, you're supposed to run, or you're supposed to have some sort of physical expression of it when you're, encountering a wild beast in the middle of, of the jungle, in our primary or primal way of being. That's what it was for. And I noticed that when I would not do something physical, the anxiety would get going and I would be worse, and I couldn't stop my mind from thinking. But when I was physical, I'd be so exhausted from hitting the pillow or from sprinting up a hill that it was easy for me to focus in a positive way, because I didn't have any, it would just wear out my mind, and my mind was focused on being physical instead of thinking.
That makes sense. I just read a great article where he's describing that, his car was broken into in downstairs in his parking lot, and he allowed himself to scream. He gave himself 10 minutes just to lose it. He said in 2 minutes he was more than done, right? And he said, the parking attendant came running and everything, but he said as soon as he could express that emotion, get out of his body, then he could leave it immediately and start working on the next step of what did he need to do to repair the car and get it all together. And so, like the movie I watched last night, he had a collateral beauty as a result of that, right? That's something better than he could ever imagine. He ended up with when his computer was stolen, he ended up with a better computer. He ended up with a car looking better than it was before it was damaged. There were so many positive things that came out of that, but his initial reaction was he was just so pissed, right? And so angry that he gave himself permission to go into that anger. So that's another way that of expressing that adrenaline. Like you say, you got to get off the couch. You need to do something. Beat up the pillow, scream into the night, or whatever it needs to do to move through that energy to get to the other side. So that does make a lot of sense. So is that how you handled your own pain? Because we were in a lot of pain. Did you step into the pain? How did you deal with the pain to get over the other side?
I noticed that when I would be writing appreciation, my body would feel better. And so that was a real inspiration for me to focus on things I appreciated more. And it literally, I mean, I was told I would never recover from all these different things. And I've recovered from all of them. And so it just was the pain, narcolepsy and the pain were, I started to use them as my coach. I'm a gymnast, so I grew up with coaches, right? So this is a coach that says, hey, you're getting off balance. You're moving towards the side you don't want to go towards the other side. And I could tell I was moving towards that side when I had physical discomfort, because sometimes at the beginning of learning how to pay attention to how you feel and make happiness your priority, sometimes it's hard to know what you're feeling if you haven't spent a lot of time paying attention to how you feel. I had an advantage because I'm a female and women tend to focus more on what they feel, but also because I'm an actress. And so acting has a lot to do with how you feel. You pay attention to how the character would feel in the situation and all that kind of stuff. So there's an emphasis of understanding emotion and of being able to control emotion through acting that was beneficial to me. But in the times that I wasn't aware that I was thinking something negative, my body became the indicator that I was thinking something negative. And I would realize, oh, my body's telling me I've been focusing in a way that doesn't feel good. And then I would thank my body because it was going to bat for me. It was taking the hit for me. And so I said, I would start to say thank you to my body and appreciate my body. And then my body would start to feel better. And I would do it more and more. And it got to the point where, I just fell in love with how genius my body is and how cooperative it is. I wanted to get some bangs so that when I have my hair in a ponytail, I can have a little bang. And I didn't want to cut the bangs. And new hair is growing in. So I have all these little new hairs that are like bangs growing in for me because my body's so cooperative. Like it just will cooperate. So when I started to appreciate it for giving me the negative indication that told me that I was focusing in a negative way, it would ameliorate the negative and it would just cause my body, the appreciation would cause my body to start relaxing and creating all the yumminess that I now live in constantly.
So to begin to try and catch that aspect of what you were saying, that your body is telling you, is giving you messages. So messages not in a bottle, but messages from your body. And your body is like your early warning system to tell you whether you're on course or not. Because when you're on course, you feel really, really yummy and good and comfortable. And when you're in your body and you love your body, then your body reciprocates and does all sorts of things to keep you healthy, vital, alive, and moving forward. And so the first aspect of this, or one of the main aspects, is fall in love with your body. Stop having a war with it. Stop making it trying to do things that it doesn't want to do. So one of the conversations one could have is, what does my body want? Not what do I think I need, but what does my body want? So that, I think, is really helpful for those. And I know there's lots of people on this call that have physical problems, and that when I say, that you can change your life and you have the control over being able to do that, it's a huge jump for so many people to understand that. But you've really just given them the recipe that this is not rocket science. This is falling in love with your body, and your body has these messages. Please listen to it. So I talk about that as my elemental I, that part of my being, that's the inner shaman that knows how to do all these things that I don't know how to do, and thank goodness I don't. That's how to breathe, how to pump the blood through my system. And having had the experience in a near death of having to take over actually beating my heart, I can tell you nobody wants to have that responsibility. It's really, really, really scary, because you have to remember to take the next breath and pump that heart, or you're not going to be here. So there's a part of our body that we have to have great appreciation for, because it's doing all this work for us, keeping us vitally alive and awake. So when our body says, hey, it's time to sleep, or it's like in your case, that's a beautiful one. It just says, okay, time to go have a sleep, or time to go for a run, is your indication that it's time to do something differently with how you're approaching whatever's showing up in your life. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. You're such an amazing listener. I really appreciate how you take everything in and then you bring it forth in your words. It's beautiful. I really appreciate that. You touch me with, how much you care about people and how much you really are on a mission to influence people in a positive way. I really love that. So thank you, Tyson.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's your mission too. And this is why this is such an important conversation. And we only have about a half a minute to go for this half-hour section. So in a summary statement, what would you like to leave our listeners with? How do they get hold of you? What sort of ways do you work with people? How do you share your magnificence with the world?
Thank you. I have a website called yummymeditations.com, YUMMY meditations, plural.com. And on that website, people can access meditations. They're for sale, but they're for a very low price. And right now, actually, for a little time, we're going to have a 30% off. If you use the code YUMMY2017, you can download meditations on the website for 30% off. And I don't know how long that's going to stay on there, because my business partner is the one who makes those decisions, but it's up there for now. And then I create also personalized guided meditations with people. And those meditations, people can also go to that same website and send an email to me, and I will give them the information about how to do that. And that's a really beautiful thing, where we have a Skype call, and it's just a beautiful experience. And then they get their own meditation that's specific to them. And I'm also, I've created a bunch of online classes. We haven't launched them yet, but they're ready to go. So those are going to happen soon. And those online classes will show very specific ways for people to get the relief and the joy and the bliss that they are wanting.
Well, thank you. It was a great pleasure having you on the show. So bye for now.
Bye. Thank you, Tyson.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca. and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Hey, thanks for watching right through to the end. We do appreciate you here at The Wellness Show. And to show our appreciation at this wonderful time of year, we're going to be giving away a $50 gift certificate over the next 12 episodes. And at the end of the 12 episodes, we'll be giving a $500 grand prize gift certificate that you can spend at either the Wellness Store or the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Now, how do I get in to win this? Simple. Like, share, comment, or subscribe to our channel, and then come over to our Facebook page, The Wellness Show, and let us know that you did so. While you're there, you can also comment and enter into the conversation about the current episode and have answers back from Tyson and the people that were interviewed. So again, like, comment, share, subscribe, and tell us you did so on the Facebook page, and we'll enter you in to win a $50 gift certificate, 12 of those, or the $500 grand prize gift certificate to be spent at the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy or the Wellness Show.